Today's lesson, we're starting a new chapter, and we're skipping lesson 1 in the chapter. It's just kind of an introductory stuff, and stuff should be stuff you've already had. And we're going to start with lesson 2, which is surface area of prisms and cylinders. All we're going to cover today is prisms, and tomorrow we'll cover the second half of the lesson that has to do with cylinders. So really, today we're just going to cover objective 1 in your notes. And we're going to work on finding the lateral areas and surface areas of prisms. First thing you need to kind of refresh, a prism is a three-dimensional object. It has a shape that forms the base, and in this case, this prism is a hexagonal prism, which means the base is a hexagon, and of course it's got two different bases that are the same shape and size. We are going to be dealing completely with right prisms in this lesson. We're not going to worry about oblique prisms, the ones that have kind of a lean to them. So these are the type of shapes we're going to work with. And you need to know the parts. That's why I gave you this diagram. The bases, of course, the edge of the base would be called a base edge. And then there's a lateral face. That's the sides of it. And the edges that form those rectangles that make up the lateral edges, those are lateral edges. And the length of one of those lateral edges is also called the altitude or the height of the prism. So we'll jump straight in with some definitions and formulas that we use. Lateral area is what we're going to talk about first. The lateral area is always going to be abbreviated by an uppercase L. The lateral area of a prism is the sum of the areas of the lateral faces. So we're talking about the rectangles that make up the sides of the figure, not the shapes that make up the base. So in this case, the lateral area would just be made up of these rectangles and not have anything to do with the triangles that form the basis of that shape. Formula is this: lateral area of a prism is L equals P, which stands for perimeter, and that's going to be the perimeter of the base shape. So it's P times H. H is the height or the altitude, the distance between the two bases. So in step 1, whenever we're finding lateral area, we're going to have two steps to solve lateral area. First step is find perimeter. And then step 2 is going to be perimeter times height or altitude. And that will give us the lateral area. So we're going to do those steps on a couple of examples. First, we'll start with this triangular prism. And a prism is always named, by the way, for the shape of its base. So this is a triangular prism because it's got a triangle on each end, and the lateral sides are made up of rectangles. So we're going to find the lateral area of the prism. The first thing that we need to do is find the perimeter in step 1, right? So we want to know what P equals, perimeter. So in order to find the perimeter, we've got to be able to add up the lengths of the three sides of the triangle, but we're missing a side. So how do we find that other side? We don't know that it's 30, 60, 90. All we know is this is 90. Pythagorean theorem. So we can do 5 squared plus 6 squared equals x squared, or c squared, I guess we could use. So that's 25 plus 36 equals x squared. 25 plus 36 would be 61, right? Mm-hmm. 61 equals x squared. So what is x? 7.8. 7.8. So 7.8 equals x. Now we can find the perimeter. The perimeter is going to be 5 plus 6 is 13. Or sorry, 5 plus 6 is 11. And 11 plus 7.8 would be 18.8. So perimeter equals 18.8 centimeters. Step 2, lateral area equals perimeter, which is 18.8 times the height. What's the height? 7. It's this distance right here, the distance between the two triangular ends. So 18.8 times 7, so lateral area equals 131.6?
Yeah.
131.6 centimeters, and we're still talking about a square area because we're talking about area, so it's a squared measurement. All right, let's try another one. This one doesn't have a picture. Whoops. The length of each side of the base of a regular octagonal prism is 6 inches, and the height is 11 inches. Find the lateral area. So the first thing we want to do is find the perimeter. So the perimeter is going to be 6 inches per side, and how many sides are there?
8.
Octagonal prism has 8 sides, so it's going to be P equals 6 times 8. The perimeter is 48 inches. That one was simple enough. Now the lateral area is the perimeter times the height.
528.
528 inches squared. Okay? So that's lateral area. Lateral area really is just finding the area of a bunch of rectangles that are joined together as the lateral sides of a prism. Now we're going to talk about surface area. Surface area, always abbreviated with a capital S. So the surface area of a prism is the sum of the lateral area and the area of the bases. So we already know how to find the lateral area. That's what we just did. Now we're going to add to that the area of the base. And since there's a base at each end, we've got to multiply that area by 2. And so we'll have the lateral area plus the base area equals the surface area. So for step 1, we're going to do what we already know how to do, and that's find the lateral area. Find L. That's lateral area, right? So there's 2 steps for finding lateral area. We just went through those. Step 1 is find the perimeter. Step 2 is multiply by the height. So now we've got, it's kind of a 3-step deal here, but I didn't want to call them steps 1, 2, and 3 because that would be confusing. So now we're going to have A, B, and C. Part A is find L. Part B will find the area of the bases. And then part C will be to add those 2 together. So find area, oops, I guess I could just abbreviate with S. Find S for surface area. Okay? So we're going to do those 3 steps on a couple of examples. Find the surface area of the prism here. First thing we want to do is find the perimeter of the base. We need to find L, right? And step 1 in finding L is to find the perimeter. So if we call these guys on the end here the perimeter, or the base rather, what would the perimeter of this base be? 4 plus 6, and then there's going to be 2 other sides the same length, so it's going to be 20. So lateral area is perimeter times height. Perimeter is going to be 6 plus 6 plus 4 plus 4. Whoops, plus 4, not 44. Which is, somebody said 10, threw me off.
Sorry.
20. And then so L equals perimeter, which is 20, times the height, which is distance between the bases. Bases are on the end in this one, so lateral area is 180 feet squared. Now we're going to find the area of one base. How do you find the area of this guy right here? 6 times 4. So area of one base is 6 times 4, but we've got how many bases? times 2. So 6 times 4 is 24. 24 times 2 is 48 feet squared. And then part C is just add those two numbers together. 180 plus 48, 228 feet squared. Okay? Last example, we'll do the same 3 steps here. Find the surface area of the prism. Part A, we need to find L. L is P times H. Yes. And so it's a right triangle. And since it's isosceles, it's got to be 45, 45, 90. So 12 times the square root of 2 would be this distance. So we're going to have 12 plus 12 plus 12 times the square root of 2. What?
17.
Oh, that's the length, 17 point.
Just 17. It's 16.9.
Oh, 16.9 something. Okay, so it's all right. So this is 17. So 12 plus 12 is 24 plus 17 is 41.
I got 41.
41. All right, so 40.9 or 41. We'll round it to 41. Make life easy. All right, so that is the perimeter of the base object. So lateral area will be that perimeter, 41 times 8, the distance between the bases. 328 millimeters squared. All right, now we need to find the area of the bases. Area of a base is a triangle, so 1/2 times base, which is 12, times the height, which is 12. But there's 2 of them, right? So we're going to multiply that by 2. Well, the 2 and the 1/2 will cancel out. So it's just going to be 12 times 12, 144 millimeters squared. Part C is just add those two together, 328 plus 144. 472 millimeters squared. The area, surface area of the prism. Okay? There's your assignment for this lesson. And good luck.
Can I look at my book?